guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm Caitlin, and today we're back to reading some spooky stories. I have a few new videos coming for you guys, and those are going to be up soon, but we're just sticking to reading stories right now. And I compiled a few that are like cryptid encounters, creepy, encounters with strange creatures, people that present like people but might not be people, those kind of things. And I'm recording on my phone right now because my camera battery died in the middle of me recording something, so I need to charge that. So we're just gonna make do while I have the time without my children. So let's go ahead and get started. Subscribe, like, watch my other videos, leave a comment, let me know what you guys think. I really appreciate it. And we're just gonna get started. And not a lot of them are long. I think the last one I'm gonna read is a longer one, but we're just gonna get through quick some short ones, okay? All right, here we go. Rem wants to battle. Unknown humanoid spotted in Vancouver. Hey guys, so last night I was driving home around 3 a.m. and I passed by a suburban intersection. Look left, look right, and turn back, and wait, what? For a fraction of a second, I saw a humanoid creature sitting cross-legged, hunched over with its back towards me. It was bald and hairless all over. I couldn't reverse to have a second look because there was a car a few paces behind me, but I watched it turn right and the driver just kept going as if nothing was there. After a slight hesitation, I got out of my car to check the scene and it was nowhere to be seen. Anyone have any ideas what I might have spotted? Number one, friend, why are you getting out of the car? Why? Have you never watched a scary movie? Don't get out of the car. That's like Creepy Encounters 101. I would not have gotten out of the car. I would have done like the other car and just continued driving because what the actual hell? And like I said in another video, it just reminds me of that movie The Descent, or like I don't know, chupacabras or something. Like that would freak me out. I would be scared to drive on that road again, to be honest. OK_floor2928, mysterious creature in Texas. In 2001, my 6th grade teacher told our class this story about her childhood growing up in Texas. I don't remember the entire story, but I do remember a few things and would like to know if anyone has ever heard of this. This would have been the early 1970s somewhere in Texas. I'm not sure of the city. She said there was a house down the street from hers that was abandoned. There were newspapers piling up in the yard and the property was unkept. For some reason, she decided to break inside the house to explore. She broke in through the kitchen window in the back of the house where she could go unnoticed and landed in the kitchen sink. There were tons of empty bottles of mane and tail shampoo scattered about. She came across a creature that she described as part horse, part woman. Apparently, she saw the creature from behind first, as she described seeing the back of a woman with long, lustrous hair. Once the creature turned around, she said it had a leathery face, huge teeth, the body of a woman but horse hooves. She ran back out of the house frightened. What the fuck, dude? Something strange happened a few weeks later. Apparently, there was a man who lived at the house, or at least owned it. It seemed that he had been harboring the creature in his house. There ended up being a chase that occurred with the man and creature trying to get away and law enforcement in pursuit. What? This story was told so long ago, I'm forgetting some of the details, but the story is so bizarre, it stuck with me. Has anyone ever heard of such a creature? No. I've heard of like a centaur, like Harry Potter, but dude, you said it had a leathery face, so it had the back of a woman with long hair, but once it turned around, it had a leathery face, huge teeth, the body of a woman, but horse, so it wasn't even part. I don't know, dude. That seems like a demonio or like some weird shit going on. Like, no. I don't like that at all. Dude, what would you do if you're a kid and you broke into an abandoned house? Like, let's be real. Everybody's done that, at least everybody where I live. And you break in or you go into this house and you see a creature, a horsewoman there, what would you do? Would you shit your pants? I think so, because I think I would. And I'd be traumatized and yeah. Bridge 703. A couple weird creature encounters for you. Hi, so I've had a couple encounters that have left me feeling crazy and super off. I live in central New York, which is where each of these happened. So several months ago, I'd say probably around February or March, I was at a park with one of my friends after dark. We had gone there frequently and nothing had ever seemed weird. My friend was standing off to the side of a shed a few hundred feet away from me. I was sitting in my car. I had been zoned out looking at stuff on my phone. He had been talking on the phone with someone. It wasn't I it wasn't until I heard this strange barking that didn't sound human or animal-like per se. I couldn't figure out which direction it was coming from. The sound seemed to be coming from every direction. I looked up and saw my friend quickly walking down the hill before coming to a dead stop mid-step. When I looked around, I saw out of my side mirror something stand up from all fours from behind my car and sprint off way too quickly into the surrounding woods. Did you see that thing? It wasn't human. It looked like it, but it was way too tall and skinny. It ran up behind your car, and then when it was going behind your car, it squat down on all fours and then got up and ran off. Fucking shit, dude. Oh my gosh, that sounds like a flesh pedestrian or some. Oh my, that would be traumatizing. And you're in the freaking woods at dark. You guys are crazy. The second encounter. This happened a few months after, right around the start of spring. I was with 3 of my friends and one of their dads. Okay, so it's not just like teenagers, there is a significantly older adult. Okay. We were in the middle of the woods at one of their campgrounds. They had gone off for a walk probably 20 to 30 minutes ago. I had stayed back to watch the fire. Suddenly, the world had gone almost silent. I almost felt like I wasn't even in our world anymore. It's hard to explain. I heard this woman screaming, "No! No help! Someone help me!" I had just sat there, staring at the direction that I thought the noise was coming from, which was deeper in the woods. At first, I thought maybe it was one of my friends yelling, but none of them sound like that. Something had also been off about this voice. After a few minutes, it trailed off and got quieter as the world returned back to normal. My friends had returned after another 15 to 20 minutes from a different direction than I heard the voice. So yeah, if anyone knows what these encounters are or has had similar experiences, let me know. That again sounds like a flesh pedestrian. And dude, that's crazy that it's central New York. Because, like, when you think of upstate New York, well, when I think of upstate New York, I think of just beautiful colored trees in the fall and, streams and rivers and hills and snow and all of, well, not in the fall, but it's just crazy that people experience that. And it also is scary that you were by yourself. Everybody else was gone. You were by yourself. And then you were hearing that kind of stuff. Like something was aware that you were alone. But I wonder if the other people heard it. If they, when they were walking, going on their walk in the woods, if they heard it. Or if it was just this person. That's nuts. Let me know what you guys think. Have you guys ever experienced anything like that? Because I haven't, and I hope I never do. Ever. Okay, this one is by Shugazi. Has anyone else encountered people that didn't seem to actually be people? I was wondering if anyone else has also had any experiences with people that didn't quite seem to be people. Like there was something off about them. I had an experience some time ago that I never could shake off. So this happened in Charleston, South Carolina around Christmas of 2017. I used to work at a popular coffee shop that was inside of a popular big box retail store. I catch your drift. I am addicted to buying the cups from said popular coffee shop inside popular big box retail store. One day around Christmas time, I had 2 guests that struck me as odd immediately. They were pale Caucasian women, probably mid-20s, that both looked nearly identical, but one was about a head taller. They had the same exact haircut, very straight, platinum blonde, bowl-like cuts. Already weird. Their faces were quite round, and their eyes were a noticeably bright hazel color and appeared quite large, but not in like a disproportionate gray alien kind of way. They both also had a fairly odd, stiff gait, as though they had a board strapped to their back. They sort of shuffled their feet around when they walked. They both also had on oversized sweaters, and I noticed later the shorter one had theirs on backwards. The weird part was their behavior. When they first walked in, the shorter one looked around the store as if they'd never been in one. Her overall demeanor was somewhat childlike. Like a good customer service rep, I welcomed them in and told them to ask if they had any questions. The short girl looked to the taller as if for approval. She then slowly nodded her head towards me, mouth slightly agape, and then attempted a hand wave. Instead of waving at the wrist like most people, she waves with her forearm, palm flat and straight in a sort of robotic windshield wiper like motion. So not like this. She was waving like this. Yeah, strange. She then turns to the taller one, who gives her an encouraging nod. Then they proceeded to walk around the cafe, looking at the cups and merchandise. The short girl would often point all around the store and seem to be asking the taller one questions, almost as if this was a guided tour of sorts. Now, obviously, I'm no linguist, but my city is a fairly popular tourist destination, and I've met foreigners from all over the globe. Even if I don't recognize a specific language, I can usually estimate roundabout where it may be from, whether it's Germanic, Slavic, Asiatic, Mid-Eastern, etc. in origin. But the language they spoke to each other was very strange and not like one I've ever heard. Imagine if you mixed Simlish with Baby Babble and sped it up. Lots of g, blah, and ooh sounds. They continued on checking out the merchandise and going on what seemed to be a Q&A session. They would often open up the cups and look inside, grab bags of beans and squeeze and shake them. At one point, the shorter one took apart a French press, and the taller one seemed to try to explain what it was for. This went on for about another 10 minutes or so when the short one picked out a studded cup to purchase. She shuffles her way to the POS, puts the cup on the counter, frequently looking towards her friend as if looking for reassurance, who again does a simple nod in encouragement. She then looks towards me and attempts to smile, which was just baring her perfectly straight, white top teeth as though she were biting her bottom lip, and slowly nodding, not saying a word. Ooh, that reminds me of my other video. That reminds me of the other video when I was talking about that movie Smile. Ugh, gross. It was here I noticed her sweater was on backwards, the tag sticking out in front of her neck. Now that I had a good look, I will say she was quite oddly attractive, but there was something about her appearance that gave me uncanny valley vibes, but I couldn't tell you what exactly was off. I will say I don't recall them ever blinking. I scanned the cup and went on the typical checkout spiel, to which there was no reply. When it was time to pay, she pulled out a silver credit card that had no markings whatsoever. No logos, no numbers, no name, just blank plastic with a chip. She then looks back over to the taller one and says something, who then comes over and finishes the transaction for her, showing her as though it was a teaching moment. I hand her the cup, and she once again slowly nods her head, mouth ajar, and does her windshield wiper wave. They then shuffle their way out of the cafe into the rest of the store, and I never saw them again. I've told this story to people before, and they usually hand wave it and say they were probably just tourists from Europe, or maybe they had a condition of sorts. But like I've said, I've encountered many foreigners, and none of them acted this much like a fish out of water, nor was their overall demeanor and behavior this uncanny. I won't rule it out as a possibility, of course, but it just doesn't quite sit satisfactorily for me. It was just too weird. Like, serious? That is very strange. And my first reaction would be aliens. That's what I thought the whole time. Like, I don't know if you guys believe in aliens. Let me know if you do, but I do. And that just seems like aliens visiting. They had their turn to come visit Earth and they wanted to go to Target, visit Starbucks, and get a cup, like all of us here. So, especially when you bring up like it was a teachable moment, they were, they were shuffling along, the clothes were backwards, they didn't know how to smile properly, of course you look socially awkward when you behave that way, but if you don't know the social standards and how to behave socially, especially in public places, because you're not from here, that's explainable, you know? I think it's aliens. Let me know what you think. Okay, this one is by Lena Loves Pasta. Lena or Lena? Lena. Lena loves pasta. Chaneques/duendes in Oaxaca. My parents are from a small pueblo in the Sierra Madre Mountains in Oaxaca, Mexico. Over there, it's very rural and secluded and surrounded by bosques, forests. To get a sense of what I'm talking about, Google San Pedro, Yolos, and you'll see what I mean. Growing up, my parents would always tell me stories of supernatural occurrences they or their family would encounter. Over there, people accept this as fact, not fiction. It's not unusual to hear voices calling your name at odd hours of the night, hear dogs scrimmage outside and cry in fear, or hear weird tappings or knockings outside your door. The locals warn of staying out at night for too long, venturing too far out into the wilderness, or visiting rivers alone. Exactly. Because the Cucuy, La Llorona, everybody's going to come and get you. As a young boy, my father would accompany his dad to El Rancho, the ranch, which was far away from town. One day, as he was playing outside in the fields, he saw a tiny figure a few meters away from him. This figure had elven-like ears and looked like a small child. It was beckoning my dad to follow him. My dad had heard of these beings before. Parents warn their children of these beings, as they do, and so ran to his dad. My grandfather immediately believed him and grabbed his rifle, asking where my dad saw it. My dad pointed in the direction where he saw it, and my grandfather ran out and loaded his rifle, threatening the being not to come closer or harm my dad. After hearing very similar stories of these beings from relatives and my parents, I wholeheartedly believe they're telling the truth. There's something out there, and I hope that one day we open our hearts and minds to learning more. Facts. I agree, Lena. And I'm Mexican, as you guys know, I've mentioned, and I believe in all of it. I believe in duendes, and usually they're like, you hear about them in people's homes, you know? Um, they look like little gnomes or like little um dwarves, and they can be mischievous and cause problems. And people tell a lot of stories about them being in their homes and messing with their kids, and messing with their, just being mischievous little shitheads. And I've heard about it before. I believe in them, and it's just like a um like an old folklore, old wives' tale. Revolver 567. I saw a black entity with a white face. Ooh, wait. For clarification, I saw it in El Paso, Texas, and the woman who was investigating it was somewhere in the Midwest. Allow me to explain the situation. 2 or 3 years ago, I was on Reddit using a different account, and I was bored. I happened upon a post that intrigued me greatly. It was of a young woman who was investigating a tunnel that was said to be haunted. She had investigated this with her friend and found strange sigils across the area and even dreamed some up. I decided to join the mystery and assist them, but misfortune was clearly on their side. I got her Instagram, and she would send me pictures of what she would find. Various darkish anomalies in the background of the area, and a photo her friend took of a ghost which had begun stalking her, the friend, ever since she started helping her. The being was completely black and abnormally tall, and his face was like a pale moon. All I knew at that point was that this could be something like an ARG. It wouldn't be long after that I encountered the same being. I was walking around in my house when it manifested out of a closet and stared at me. I felt it. So I turned around and stared back, and it floated back into the closet. Dude, I was too scared to check, so I just stood there, and I immediately backed out of any further investigation and left it at that. As of then, I've not had any encounters with it. The whole thing still creeps me out to this day, as I've been searching for answers ever since I've gotten the opportunity to do so. For those wondering as to why I waited so long to make a post and tell the story, let it be known that I didn't want this thing going after me. It intimidated me, and I admit that. I was only 14 when it happened, and I was scared of the consequences. And in the further years, stuff started happening that required more of my attention, which eventually led me to assume that this was just something I'd have to take to my grave. All I ask is for closure. What did I really see that day? I don't know what you saw. It sounds like you saw some sort of apparition, or I don't know. It had a black body and a moon like face. I don't know. But if I saw something staring at me from a closet, and then, first of all, you said you were too scared to check, but you said you turned around and stared back. Like, I would not just be standing there being like, dude, I probably would have screamed. I would have ran the other direction. I would have yelled for my mom, and I don't even live with my mom. I would have yelled for everybody. My grandma, like, I don't know what you saw, but it was something creepy. And I'm glad that you don't do that stuff anymore, so you don't have to deal with it. Your dad is a femboy. Oh no. Unknown creature above skylight. This happened at my childhood home in Connecticut when I was 8 or 9, November of 2010. It was like 6 p.m. and I was getting ready for bed, and my parents were across the hall folding laundry and stuff like that. 6 p.m. and you're getting ready for bed? Damn, your parents made you go to sleep early. As I was getting my pajamas on, I glanced up at the skylight above my bed, and as I did, two hoofed legs smacked against the skylight, and my heart dropped like I had an instinctual feeling to be scared of whatever it was. And I'll never forget the noise it made when it hit the window. That's how I know my mind wasn't playing tricks on me. The legs also had no fur or skin, just muscle and veins. It also looked like whatever it was tried to climb up onto the roof, but could only get its legs up before moving away. I ran into my parents' room crying and trying to tell them without sounding like a paranoid little kid. Of course, they didn't believe me. After that, I refused to sleep in the room, and I slept on the couch up until my parents divorced and I moved out of the house. Still creeps me out to this day. No shit. And I apologize that that happened to you. Again, knock on wood, Dios mío, please, I don't ever want to see anything like that. Ever. Like, I like reading all these stories and watching scary videos and hearing other people's stories. I don't want to see not a goddamn thing. I don't want to see anything. I don't want to nothing. I don't want to experience anything. And that is like the first story, the horsewoman. When things have hooves, that's a no-go for me. That is a sign of something dark, and I don't want to have any parts in it at all. That is, oh my God, that's creepy. I don't like that at all. Level dash coast 8642, Mothman in Michigan. This happened in about 1990 in southeast Michigan. Twice I saw a tall, black, humanoid shaped figure that ran like the wind and appeared to almost fly across the ground. Both times it was dark out, and both times it scared the hell out of me and the friend I was with. I was with two different friends, one at the first sighting and the other at the second. They both saw it too. Back up about 4 years before I saw this creature, a friend of mine was killed riding a mini bike. My brother and I were getting cryptic phone calls from someone our age who wouldn't tell us his name. I can't remember what he'd talk about, but it was really creepy. One day I hung the phone up and my brother asked who it was. I told him he wouldn't say. My brother guessed it was the kid that died. Then, in 2002, I go see the movie, and man, did it give me chills. Nothing bad ever happened to me, my friends, or the town, but besides that, we experienced the same thing as West Virginia did in the movie. Anyone else experienced this before? Dude, I've watched the movie too. I've watched Mothman, and I've watched like documentaries and, TV episodes about Mothman, but I don't know. I think that seeing that figure, could be something. But then I'm not gonna lie, I got lost when you were talking about the phone calls. I haven't watched the movie since it's been over 10 years. But I got lost between the connection or the correlation between seeing that figure like fly across the ground and then the person calling you and not telling you who it was. I got lost. But that is creepy. If I saw something be able to move that fast, I would, I don't even know, hold my heart. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have had any similar experiences, or if you heard one that you liked in particular, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe and watch some of my other videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.